Joshua. Chapter 1. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord spoke to Joshua, the son of Nun, who had been Moses' assistant. He told him, "My servant Moses has died. So go and cross the Jordan, you and all the people, and enter the country I am giving to the Israelites. As I promised Moses, everywhere you set foot will be land I am giving to you. From the desert to Lebanon, and on up to the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and to the shore of the Mediterranean Sea to the west. This will be your territory. No one will be able to stand against you while you live. Just as I was with Moses, I will be with you. I will never leave you, I will never abandon you. Be strong. Be brave. You will be the people's leader as they occupy the land I promised their ancestors that I would give them. Just be strong and very brave, and be sure to obey all the law that my servant Moses instructed you to follow. Don't turn aside from it, either to the right or to the left, so that you may be successful in everything you do. Keep on reminding the people about the law. Meditate on it day and night, so you can be sure to do what it requires. Then you will be successful and prosper in what you do. Don't forget what I told you, be strong. Be brave. Don't be afraid. Don't get discouraged. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Then Joshua gave an order to those in charge of the people. "Go through the whole camp and tell the people, get everything ready, because in 3 days' time we will cross the Jordan to go and take the land God is giving to you to possess. But to the tribes of Reuben and Gad, and half of the tribe of Manasseh," Joshua said, "remember what Moses, the servant of the Lord, ordered you to do. The Lord your God is giving you rest, and will give you this land. Your wives and children, and your livestock will remain here in the land that Moses allotted you on the east side of the Jordan. But all your armed men, ready for battle, will cross over ahead of your brothers to help them, until the Lord lets them rest, as he has let you rest, and they too have taken possession of the land that the Lord is giving to you. Then you can return and occupy your own land, which Moses allotted to you on the east side of the Jordan." They said to Joshua, "We will do everything you have ordered us to do, and we will go wherever you send us. We will obey you just as we obeyed Moses in everything. May the Lord God be with you as he was with Moses. Anyone who rebels against what you say and doesn't follow your orders, who doesn't obey everything you command, will be put to death. So be strong. Be brave." Joshua. Chapter 2. Then Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent out 2 spies from Shittim. "Go and explore the land, especially around Jericho," he told them. So they went and stayed at the house of a woman named Rahab, a prostitute. There they spent the night. But the king of Jericho was told, "Look, some Israelites have come here this evening to spy out the land." So the king of Jericho sent orders to Rahab, telling her, "Hand over the men who came to visit you and stay in your house, for they've come to spy out our whole country." The woman had taken the 2 men and had hidden them. She told the king's messengers, "Yes, it's true, the men did come to visit me, but I didn't know where they were from. They left at sundown, just as the city gate was closing. I've no idea where they went. If you're quick, you can chase after them and maybe catch up with them." She had taken them up to the roof and hidden them under some bundles of flax that she had lying there. The king's messengers went chasing after the men down the road that leads to the Jordan River fords. As soon as the pursuers had left, the city gate was shut behind them. Before the spies went to sleep, Rachel came up to the roof to talk to them. She told them, "I know that the Lord has given this land to you. We're all terrified of you. Everyone who lives here is dying of fright since you people arrived. We've heard how the Lord dried up the waters of the Red Sea before you when you left Egypt, and what you did to the 2 kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom you completely destroyed. When we heard all this, our courage melted away. Nobody had any fighting spirit left because of you. For the Lord your God is God of heaven above and the earth below. So now promise me in the name of the Lord that because I have acted in good faith to you, then you will do the same for my family. Give me some sign that I can trust you, that you will spare my father and mother and brothers and sisters and all who are part of their families, that you will save them from death." "Our lives for yours," the men told her. "If you don't tell anyone about this, we will treat you honestly and faithfully when the Lord gives us the land." Then she lowered them down by a rope through the window, since the house where she lived was built into the outside of the city wall. "Run to the hills," she told them. "That way those searching for you won't find you. Stay there 3 days until they've gone home, and then you can be on your way." The men had told her, "We will be freed from the promise you made us swear. Unless when we enter this land, you hang a scarlet cord in the window through which you lowered us. You must gather together in the house your father and mother and brothers, all the family. If anyone leaves your house and is killed, that's their fault. We're not responsible for their death. But if anyone lays a hand on someone who is inside your house, we take full responsibility for their death. But if you tell anyone about this, then we will be freed from the promise you made us swear." "I agree, may it be as you say," she replied. She sent them off and hung a scarlet cord in the window. They went up into the hill country and stayed there 3 days. The men searching for them looked all along the road, but couldn't find them, so they returned home. Then the 2 men started back. They came down from the hill country and crossed over the Jordan. They went to Joshua and explained to him all that had happened to them. "The Lord has placed this land in our hands," they assured him. "All the people who live there are scared to death of us." Joshua Chapter 3. Early the following morning, Joshua and the Israelites set out from Shittim and arrived at the banks of the Jordan. There they all spent the night before crossing over. 3 days later, those in charge of the people went through the camp, telling the people, "When you see the ark of the agreement of the Lord your God carried by the priests, the Levites, you must leave the place where you are and follow it. That way you'll know which way to go, since you haven't been here before. Leave about 3,000 feet between you and the Arkansas, don't go near it." Then Joshua said to the people, "Make sure you are pure, because tomorrow the Lord is going to do amazing things among you." Joshua spoke to the priests, "Pick up the ark of the agreement and go before the people." So they picked up the ark of the agreement and went ahead of the people. The Lord said to Joshua, "What I do today will confirm you as great leader in the sight of all the Israelites, so that they'll realize that just as I was with Moses, so I will be with you. Tell the priests carrying the ark of the agreement, when you get to the edge of the Jordan, take a few steps into the water and then stop." So Joshua said to the Israelites, "Come here and listen to what the Lord your God has to say to you. This is how you will know that the living God is right here with you," he told them. "You can be sure that he will drive out before you the Canaanites, Hittites, Hivites, Perizzites, Girgashites, Amorites, and Jebusites. Just watch, the ark of the agreement of the Lord of all the earth will cross in front of you through the Jordan. Choose 12 men from the tribes of Israel, 1 per tribe. The moment the priests carrying the ark step into the water, the river will stop flowing and the water will pile up." So the people broke camp and set out to cross the Jordan, with the priests carrying the ark ahead of them. As it was harvest season, the Jordan was full of water, overflowing its banks. But at the very moment the priests carrying the ark stepped into the water, the river stopped flowing. The water piled up a long way upstream at the town of Adam, near Zarethan, while downstream no more water flowed into the Dead Sea. So the people crossed over opposite Jericho. The priests carrying the ark stood on the dried-up riverbed of the Jordan as all the people went by, staying there until everyone had crossed over on dry ground. Joshua Chapter 4. Once the entire nation had finished crossing the Jordan, the Lord told Joshua, "Choose 12 men from the people, 1 per tribe, and tell them, pick up 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan, from right where the priests are standing. Then carry them and set them down at the place where you will camp tonight." So Joshua sent for the 12 men he had chosen, 1 from each tribe, and told them, "Go back into the middle of the Jordan, right in front of the ark of the agreement of the Lord your God, and each of you pick up a stone and carry it on your shoulder, 1 for each of the tribes of Israel. This will be a memorial among you, so when your children one day ask, 'What do these stones mean?' you can tell them, 'It's about the time the Jordan River stopped flowing when the ark of the Lord's agreement went across. When it crossed over, the water stopped.' These stones are a memorial to the people of Israel forever." The people of Israel did as Joshua told them. The men picked up 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan as the Lord had instructed Joshua. They carried them to the place where they camped overnight and placed the stones there, one for each of the tribes of Israel. Joshua also set up 12 stones in the middle of the Jordan right where the priests carrying the Ark of the Agreement had stood, and they are still there to this very day. The priests carrying the ark remained standing in the middle of the Jordan until everything was done just as the Lord had told the people to do, all that Moses had told Joshua to do. The people crossed over quickly. Once all the people had crossed over, they watched as the ark of the Lord was carried across by the priests. The armed men from the tribes of Reuben and Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh crossed at the head of the people of Israel, as Moses had stipulated. They numbered about 40,000 men, armed and ready for battle, crossed in the presence of the Lord to the plains of Jericho. On that day the Lord confirmed Joshua as great leader in the sight of all the Israelites, and they were in awe of him just as they had been in awe of Moses. The Lord had told Joshua, "Order the priests carrying the Ark of the Testimony to come up out of the Jordan." So Joshua told the priests, "Come up out of the Jordan." The priests came up out of the Jordan carrying the Ark of the Agreement, and as soon as their feet touched dry ground, the waters of the Jordan returned to where they had been, overflowing its banks as before. The people went up from the Jordan and camped at Gilgal, to the east of Jericho, on the 10th day of the first month. Joshua set up at Gilgal the 12 stones that had been taken from the Jordan. He told the Israelites, "When someday your children ask you their parents, 'What do these stones mean?' you can explain to them, 'This is where the Israelites crossed the Jordan on dry ground.' For the Lord your God made the Jordan River dry up right in front of you so you all could cross, just as the Lord your God did at the Red Sea, which he dried up so we could all cross. He did this so everyone on earth would know how powerful the Lord is, and so that you might be in awe of the Lord your God forever." Joshua Chapter 5. When all the Amorite kings west of the Jordan and all the Canaanite kings of the Mediterranean coast heard how the Lord had dried up the waters of the river Jordan so that the Israelites could cross over, their courage melted and they no longer had any fighting spirit to face the Israelites. At that time the Lord told Joshua, "Make flint knives and circumcise the new generation of Israelites." Joshua had flint knives made, and all male Israelites were circumcised at the place that became known as the Hill of Foreskins. This is the reason why Joshua had them all circumcised. All those who left Egypt, the men of fighting age, had died on the journey through the wilderness after the Exodus. They had all been circumcised when they left Egypt, but those born on the journey since then had not. For 40 years the Israelites traveled through the wilderness until all the men of fighting age when they left Egypt had died, because they had not done what the Lord had told them to do. So the Lord had vowed that he would not let them see the land he had promised their forefathers to give us, a land flowing with milk and honey. The Lord replaced them with their children, and these were the ones that Joshua circumcised. They were uncircumcised since they hadn't been circumcised on the way. Once they had all been circumcised, they stayed in the camp until they recovered. The Lord said to Joshua, "Today I have removed from all of you the disgrace of Egypt." So that place has been called Gilgal to this day. The Israelites camped at Gilgal and celebrated Passover there on the evening of the 14th day of the first month. From the very next day they began to eat produce from the land, unleavened bread and roasted grain. On the same day when they began eating produce from the land, there was no more manna. No longer did the Israelites have manna. After that they ate the produce of the land of Canaan. One day when Joshua was near Jericho, he looked up and saw a man standing in front of him with a drawn sword in his hand. Joshua went up to him and asked, "Are you for us or against us?" "Neither," said the man. "I am the commander of the Lord's army. Now I'm here." Joshua fell down with his face to the ground in awe. Then he said, "What orders does my Lord have for his servant?" The commander of the Lord's army told Joshua, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you're standing is holy ground." Joshua did so. Israelite army then returned to the camp at Gilgal.